It's my pleasure to introduce this final session, Unleashing the Power of AI in China, Growth, Innovation and Opportunity. And over the past decade, China's made remarkable strides in establishing a robust AI economy and contributing significantly to global advancements. And we'll shortly delve into this landscape with an overview from renowned serial entrepreneur and AI expert, Yonggang Wang, who is CEO of SeedV and also Executive Dean of the AI Institute at Sinovation Ventures in Beijing. But before he shares his valuable insights and experiences driving innovation at the forefront of this change, I'd just like to play a very short clip from the World AI Fair in Shanghai from about 10 days ago. And it's one that appeals to me because it might be a future that a number of us embrace, mainly those of you who are a lot younger than me and don't have many children. But anyway, if we could just see this, it's just an interesting insight into robots.
So system like the GR1 is actually, we have developed it over the past years, and we use some of this technology for the rehab. So as we move forward, the entire GR1 could be a caregiver, could be a therapy assistant, can be a companion at home for the elderly who stay alone. So we think the application is up to our imagination. So at the moment, we focus a lot of development on the physical part of the system. So we think that AI will also help to create more applications.
So the projections are that in China, the population over 60 will rise from 280 million to 400 million by 2035, and not everybody has necessarily got a lot of children. So, you know, there is the potential, for robots to be developed in this fashion. And also at that very same fair, Elon Musk spoke to that, and Tesla and others are also, developing similar robots in this area. But it's just a bit of a taste of a future which is coming up on us rather fast. But anyway, I'd just like now to ask Yonggang to join us and take us through generative AI development. So this is a type of artificial intelligence that can create a wide variety of data, images, videos, audio, text, and 3D models. Welcome, Yonggang.
Thank you, Fran. Okay, before diving into China market, I would like to show everyone a very brief picture of how generative AI like ChatGPT and Stable Diffusion is changing our interaction with computers or robots. As every one of you have already known, ChatGPT, the release of ChatGPT is actually a very significant revolution during the past decade in the computer science area. Before ChatGPT, almost all AI applications are actually so-called narrow AI, which means each AI application is focusing on a single task or single specific domain. For example, AlphaGo is a very good AI application, but it can only play Go games and it can beat everyone in our human beings. But if we let AlphaGo to write an article, to draw an image, to create a video, AlphaGo cannot do that. But with the release of ChatGPT and the Stable Diffusion, we call those technologies general purpose AI or generative AI because of those technologies have two major abilities. The first one is generation. With the generation ability, AI like ChatGPT and Stable Diffusion can help us to quickly create images, videos, 3D animations. Those creativity tools enable us to do something we cannot do, to do something we have to ask professional users to help us to do. So going forward, AI could grow into into like AI artists, AI designers, or even AI content creators, AI influencers. With the reasoning ability, like we can use ChatGPT to solve a simple or kind of like complex problem, like math problem, like a daily life problem. With this ability, we can embed reasoning ability into our business process. Each kind of business, like each kind of business application can use those kind of AI as a co-pilot mode, which means we can work with a co-pilot, a AI co-pilot to get something done quickly, more efficiently. For example, Microsoft Office already released the co-pilot feature. We can use Microsoft Office and ask AI to help us to write something, to bring a very complex content into a highlight of like a few slides. We can use kind of AI application like Jasper to help us to write marketer content, to write marketing content. Most importantly, I think the most important change AI would bring to our human being is not like creating something or not really to solve some problem. Is AI, especially generative AI, will change our basic interaction mode with computers or robots. Before generative AI, we must set up some applications. We must use keyboard. We must use a mouse or a touch screen to interact with computers or smartphones. But with generative AI, when generative AI becoming more smarter and smarter going forward, like in 2 or 3 years, we can forget about like operating systems. We can forget about applications at all. Why? Because when you have an assistant as smart as a human being or partially as smart as a human being, you don't need to care about how it complete a task, how it achieve a task. You don't need to care about what application you need to set up, what application you need to learn. Going forward, I think in 3 or 5 years, AI can redefine computer itself. AI can redefine smartphone itself. AI can redefine all the business logic or all the applications. AI can bring a very significant interlayer between human being and computers and computing systems. AI can make us feel like every computer, every robot, every smartphone, just like a smart assistant. It can help us to do something without us to care about details, to care about operating systems, or care about applications. That's the most important thing AI will bring to our human life. Yeah, I think that's the first part I would present. I would get the microphone back to Fran.
Thank you very much, Yonggang. And at this point, I'll ask Brett O'Reilly, who among his many roles over time has had actually a lengthy career in very senior roles in innovation and science technologies in New Zealand in that particular sector. And I wondered if you could just shed your lens on what Yonggang has just expressed to us and how you see the applications here.
Thanks, Fran, and kia ora, everybody. I make no mistake about this. I believe this will be the single biggest technology change that we will have seen probably in the last 20 years. And I don't say that that lightly because I think you've had a really good summary there of how this fundamentally changes the way humans interact with technology. If you think of some examples maybe in your own lives, speaking into Siri on your phone, speaking to Siri at home, for children at primary school today, they are probably never going to use a keyboard. Think about that. they are never going to use a keyboard because they won't need to. They'll just use voice commands for doing everything. You won't need software developers developing code. The AI will do that. So think of what that does to some of those technology industries that we have been thinking about. And this is all happening very fast. In February of this year, we hosted the APEC Business Advisory Council here in Auckland, and I've been fortunate enough to join the New Zealand team with Rachel Tolale and Anna Curzon replacing Malcolm Johns. And sitting in this room with other business leaders from around the APEC economies, we talked about AI, and we talked about it as being something that was sort of on the horizon, but we were still sort of assessing what it was doing. It's not new. We've had Siri for a while. We've had things like digital twins and advanced manufacturing. But what ChatGPT and the other technologies that you've just heard about has done is it has democratized, or if you like, consumerized AI and made it accessible in a way that, quite frankly, most people couldn't have imagined. And if you've been following the media, you will know that even some of the AI pioneers are now concerned about just how disruptive this could be globally. And it's in unexpected ways. So again, if you've been following global news, you'll know there's a screenwriters and actors strike on in Hollywood at the moment. That is fundamentally about AI. That is fundamentally about screenwriters and actors being concerned about their work being replaced by AI. It's about actors potentially being replaced by avatars. And so we're on a cusp of quite a significant change. As I say, I think the biggest in the last 20 years that we've seen with tech, probably since the democratization of the mobile phone. And it is going to have far-reaching consequences for us, and therefore engaging with it and engaging with China on the opportunities is going to be very important.
Thank you, Brett. Back now to you, Yonggang, to talk us through the trends and opportunities you see arising from generative AI in China.
Yes, thank you, Fran and Bright. I think I would like to dive into the China market of generative AI today. As everyone may know, there are 10 of reasons that separate China's AI development and the US AI development into two major markets. In China, as early as the release of ChatGPT I think in last November, most of China tech guys and investors are really excited. During like the first few months of this year, many of us, as we are working on the AI area, as we are creating startups and investing in those startups, the phenomenon of creative AI in China is really hot. For example, there are only like half a year since the release of ChatGPT, but according to a report last month, in China, AI companies have already released like 95 large language models, specific for Chinese. It's amazing. It's like another kind of China speed, I think. China entrepreneurs and investors are so excited, despite that the current China's economy is not that in going up trends. The total amount that investors have invested in AI companies is still in a limited amount, but the top 10 large language model startups have already secured over 1.5 billion US dollars as their like angel round of fundraising. That is like a phenomenon situation in China. Going like in the past decade, it's a very phenomenon. And besides that, internet giants like Baidu, Alibaba, like Tencent are doing their language models at the same time. Baidu has already released their like earning board. Alibaba released their Tongyi. Most of them are technically, most of them are running on par with like on the performance level with on par with like GPT, GPT-3 or GPT 3.5. Yes, in China, most of those large language models are still have like a technical gap behind ChatGPT, especially the version of GPT-4. But most of us think it only take us like 18 months or at most 24 months for China startups and China internet giants to catch up with the performance on par with the OpenAI or on par with Google, Microsoft. So we are not only working on like language models itself. Large language model is just the very, very foundation layer. It's just in the foundation layer. Above that, there are also many opportunities we can work on. For example, China has made a lot of very good infrastructure projects. Like in the training optimization area, there is a very famous colossal AI who is competing with Microsoft's DeepSpeed. In the vector database, which can be a good memory for the generative AI, China has like Milwa. The company is Zilix. It's a very good project for the global use. It's an open source project. For the machine learning framework, corresponding to TensorFlow or PyTorch, we have like OneFlow framework. It's a very good framework to train a large language model. And in the application layer, China AI companies are majorly focusing on two parts of applications. The first part is focusing on enterprise applications or government applications. For those applications in China, lots of customers have the request of like data security or privacy. So privately deployed cloud or privately deployed data center could be a standard mode to deploy AI system into those customers' business. For doing that, we cannot use a open or a public cloud AI solution for them. So China team have built like 95 large language models, especially for like vertical use for enterprise and the government customers. For consumer customers or for consumer applications, there are a lot of different kinds of applications the China team have invented, like use AI to write a code, use AI to help lawyers to write documents, use AI to create images, videos, or 3D animations, or use AI to just support a virtual chatbot to talk with people from an iPhone app or from a website. So the whole ecosystem of generative AI in China is very active. The investment, although the total amount of investment is still limited, we think those kind of innovation and investment must be a very critical point to push the whole China digital economy to push the economy upward and to generate some opportunities really new, to create some new opportunities and new market. So that's the current situation of generative AI in China.
Thank you, Yonggang. And you've raised some very tantalizing opportunities there. I think one of the things I was speaking about with Brett in preparation for this is whether AI could be used to normalize communication between cultures and get over language difficulties that we experience communicating. And I'd like him to comment on that, and then perhaps a final question to you both as to where you might see the opportunity for New Zealand and China to collaborate at this frontier of AI. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Fran. It's interesting, isn't it? Because we know that one of the barriers for communication between cultures is often language, and AI will definitely remove a lot of those issues. For those of you who use WeChat, you probably use the translate function today, but that translate function is not customized for you, but AI will do that. So AI will be able to convert language in real time, whether it's written or it'll be largely spoken because we won't be using keyboards. So you think about how that might change the way we operate, and particularly the opportunity between China and New Zealand, given how tricky Mandarin is to learn for people. So I think that's pretty significant. I think it's also significant, I should mention, we're hoping that Yonggang is going to become one of New Zealand's next residents from China. I know he and his family are planning on moving here, and it would be great to have someone with your knowledge, Yonggang, here to just help us with these opportunities.
If we could bring Yonggang back on the screen, thank you. You are there, thank you. We do have a question from Tyrone Macaulay, which talks about, with increasing capabilities of generative AI and cognitive architectures, how do we manage challenges like AI alignment, job displacement, and market disruption? Maybe, Brett, if you have a go at that, and then perhaps Yonggang, if you did want to weigh in as well. Thank you.
I could say carefully, but I don't think it'll be our choice. I think this is going to move much faster than we have thought about, even in my own organisation and the EMA, with the work that we do, supporting employers with legal advice. It's just going to change overnight. It'll just transform, and so I think many of the models that we have historically relied on or taken for granted will change. So I think, this needs to be something that we are talking about in forums like this a lot more. It needs to be part of boardroom strategy for any organisation, large or small. It'll be an enabler, for sure, for a lot of businesses that have been small. Suddenly you've got your own CIO or CTO. It's called AI, who can advise you how to get the best out of your technology and help you do that. So it will be enabling on many fronts, but it will also be a massive disruptor.
And if I could put the question to you also, Yonggang, how do we manage the challenges of AI alignment, job displacement, and market disruption?
That's a good question. I think for alignment, the current AI is still running on a lower level that align with the AI-generated content with human level. The current AI, at least GPT-4, is still under the control of researchers and the tech people like me. I have been working in the AI area for 20 years. I clearly understand that AI has some risk to generate like bad things, but we have technical solutions. We have technical frameworks to ensure that AI can align with people as much as possible. For example, we can train another AI to supervise the underlying AI to let it get the most alignment rate as possible. Non-technically, I think especially government and organizations of AI can do many things to encourage people to use AI with a regulation. For example, China just released its internet regulation about generative AI. That's a very good effort, I think, to encourage AI companies and the people are building and using AI in a standard way. For the labor replacement, I think we don't need to worry too much, at least today. Going forward, I have no idea, I have no solution how a human level AI can do as for labor replacement. But currently, there's very little labor replacement happened in AI-related areas. For example, AI can help us generate images, create videos, or write articles. But you can see that most of like artists, most writers, or most businessmen are actually using AI as their assistant to improve their efficiency, not a replacement. I think a collaboration relationship it will be the future, not the replacement, at least in the recent future we can see.
Thank you. Perhaps one final question to you, Brett, from the floor. And it says, why is New Zealand not making the scale of investment it needs to in R&D, and in particular AI, and the risk of being left behind or left out seems high and costly?
Yeah, I would agree entirely with the second part of that question. I think this is a risk for us, and I think it's something that we in the business community need to be really championing. Some of it will be related to policy for sure, for all of the reasons that Yonggang has set out in his presentations. But there are also opportunities. I mean, there's some incredible work being done around using AI for predictive analysis of diseases like cancer, and we've looked at some of those pilots through ABAC. So it can step change some areas, but right now it needs to be high on the agenda for us. I like to say that, when New Zealand is at its best, our smallness is our superpower. And in this case, I think our smallness can be our superpower because we can collaborate with other nations, whether it's at an enterprise level or at a country-to-country level, to see how we capitalise on that. So it needs to be high on the agenda for any discussion that we're having about the future of our economy, because we could get left behind quite quickly.
Thank you. And thank you, Yonggang. I mean, this was a conversation which began in the lobby of the St. Regis Hotel in Beijing on a 40 degrees centigrade afternoon where we were sheltering from the heat. And we had a very enjoyable conversation over very lovely jasmine tea. And we look forward to having a continuation of what is actually quite a challenging conversation for us all to think about when you're next down in New Zealand in Auckland. Thank you for tuning in today.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.